Hi, Mrs. Lopez checking in with you guys. All right, so we're on the last of, otherwise known as Sheila the Great. We have a few chapters, but they're smaller chapters, so we're just going to plow through them. Chapter 13. I'm going to have a slumber party. I've never had one. How could I when I've shared a room with Libby all my life? I just can't wait until Saturday night. Mouse, Sandra, and Jane are coming, and Mom says we can all sleep in my room if my friends bring sleeping bags with them. I even have new pajamas to wear. They are red and white striped. Mouse has the same ones. She promised to wear them so we can be twins like Sandra and Jane. My slumber party is going to be the best slumber party there ever was. Since I've been planning everything so carefully, I got really sore at Libby this morning when she told Mom, I'm going to invite Marianne Markman to sleep over Saturday night. Oh no, I said. You know I'm having a slumber party. So, Libby asked, who wants to get in your way? That's not fair, I said to Mom. Can't I do something just once without her butting in? There's plenty of room, Sheila, Mom said. If Libby wants Marianne to spend the night, there's no reason why she can't. It has nothing to do with you. They'll try to boss us around, I cried. Just like always. Ha! Libby said. Nobody's going to spoil your party, Mom told me. I promise. I don't see why she can't spend the night at Marianne's house instead, I said. Because Marianne's parents are going out and her mother doesn't want her to stay alone, Libby said. Otherwise, I would, in a second. I just know they will ruin everything. On Saturday, Marianne ate supper with us, so she was already there when my friends rang the bell. But she and my sister were locked up in Libby's room listening to music, and I hoped that's where they would stay for the rest of the night. After Mouse, Sandra, and Jane said hello to Daddy and Mom, I took them up to my room and we spread out our sleeping bags. Sandra's and Jane's are the same. There's a picture of Snoopy on the front, zippers down the sides, and red flannel linings. Mouse brought a regular sleeping bag, the kind you use when you go camping. She said the last time she slept outside, she woke up with a frog inside her bag. But since she likes frogs, she didn't mind. I would much rather sleep in a sleeping bag indoors than out. We arranged the sleeping bags on the floor next to my bed, with Mouse between Sandra and Jane. Then we showed each other our pajamas and discussed the kind of toothpaste we use. Sandra and Jane didn't bring matching pajamas, so me and Mouse turned out to be twins by ourselves. Next, we got undressed and ready for bed, even though we didn't plan to go to sleep for hours and hours and maybe not even all night. Sandra changed her clothes in my closet. I think she's getting fatter, but I wouldn't say that to her face. She is very sensitive and would start to cry. She should go on a diet. I can't understand how such a fat person can swim. Why doesn't she sink to the bottom of the pool? Someday I will ask Marty about that. Sandra and Jane threw their clothes into a pile on the floor, but Mouse folded everything and packed it away in her overnight case. Then she took out a small notebook and said, Let's make a slam book. What's that? Jane said. I was glad she asked because I didn't know either. I figured I would tell Mouse that the reason I didn't know about a slam book is that I haven't made one in years because where I live it's just for babies. Mouse told us, slam books are great fun. You'll see. She was busy writing something down in her notebook. We sat in a circle around her and waited. In a minute, she held up a piece of paper and said, This is a sample list. All of us fill in about each other. It's the only way to find out what your friends really think of you. I looked at the sample list. It said name, hair, face, body, brain, best thing, worst thing, and in general. You see, Mouse explained, we'd never be brave enough to just sit around and tell each other the truth about ourselves. That would be too embarrassing. But since everybody wants to know what other people really think of them, this is an easy way to find out. You can start with me if you want. I'll go stand in the hall, and you fill in the list. Later, when we've all had our chance, we get to read about ourselves in private. Mouse walked to my bedroom door. Remember, she told us, you've got to be honest or it won't do any of us any good. She opened the door and stepped out in the hall. Well, I said, who wants to go first? You start, Sheila, Jane said. It's your party. Okay, give me the book. Before I had a chance to begin, my bedroom door opened and Mouse poked her head in. I forgot to tell you, when you're done filling it in, you fold the page over so nobody can see what you wrote. Okay, I said. I just thought you should know, Mouse told me, closing the door again. I filled in the list 1, 2, 3. I wrote, name, Mouse Ellis. Hair, needs washing. Face, only a mother could love. Body, too many scabs. Brain, pretty good. Best thing, can do everything. Worst thing, knows it. In general, my best friend and lots of fun. I folded my part of the page over so the others couldn't see it and passed it to Sandra. When she was done, she passed it to Jane. And then we called Mouse back into the room and Sandra went out. While Sandra was in the hall, Mom came upstairs to tell us she and Daddy were going to go to town to pick up some pizza for our snack. We'll be back in less than an hour, Mom said. Libby and Marianne are home in case you need anything. Okay, we'll be fine, I said, anxious to get back to the slam book. When we were done writing about Sandra, it was my turn to leave the room. I knew I didn't have to worry about what my friends think of me because I am careful to keep my bad points to myself. Sometimes I think I'm really two people. I am the only one who knows Sheila Tubman. Everyone else only knows Sheila the Great. Jane was the last one to stand out in the hall, and when we were through writing about her, she came back into my room. Then Mouse tore out a page for each of us to read privately. She said we should sit by ourselves and face the wall in case we didn't want anyone to see our expression. We all laughed at that, but did it anyways. I sat on my bed with my back to the others. I unfolded my paper so I could see all the opinions of me at once. Now, kids, I don't recommend doing slam books. They aren't very nice, and they cause a lot of problems. Okay, so Sheila Tubman's. Hair. One person said parted crooked. Another said should grow longer. The third one said much too long. Face. Ugly but lovable. Weird eyebrows. And gruesome. Body, skin and bones, ugly feet, abnormal. Brain, thinks it knows it all, a mental, overused. Best thing, picks neat friends, gives parties, question mark. Worst thing, chicken, bossy, acts real tough. In general, an interesting person, not that bad, and there's hope. Who did they think they were? Why did I ever bother to invite them to my house? They didn't deserve it. I read about myself 6 times, but I didn't turn away from the wall. After a while, I noticed that the room was very quiet. I wondered what the others were thinking. That's when Sandra started to cry. I knew it was her even though I was facing the wall. First, she cried low, but when I turned around to look at her, she took her hands away from her mouth and started bawling so loud you could probably hear it a mile away. I hate you, she yelled. Every single one of you. You all think I'm a big fat slob. Even my own sister thinks I'm a fat slob. Well, you are, Jane said, and you should do something about it. Anyway, somebody said some pretty bad things about me, too. Like I can't keep secrets and my brain is turned off most of the time. So, Mouse said, I don't think it's fair. I don't think it was fair of you to make fun of my scabs. Somebody did. I didn't make fun of your scabs, Jane hollered. Somebody did. Well, it wasn't me, Jane yelled. I didn't say anything because I was the one who wrote about Mouse's scabs, but I never thought it would bother her so much. And another thing, Mouse said, I don't think you have a right to tell me that my hair needs washing. What's so bad about that? Sandra asked. How do you think I feel when the two of you wrote I'm a crybaby? You are a crybaby, Mouse told her, and I don't see what business it is of yours if my belly button sticks out. I didn't write that, Sandra said. I wrote about your ears. Well, that's just as dumb. I'm the one who wrote about your belly button, Jane said, and it does stick out, so there. Just shut up, Jane, Mouse hollered. Jane was standing near my dresser, and when Mouse said that, Jane picked up one of Bobby Egren's model airplanes and threw it across the room at her. Who's gonna make me? She asked. You cut that out, I told her. They're not mine. So, Jane said, throwing a plane at me. I told you to cut that out, I shouted. And I want to know which one of you wrote that my body is abnormal. My body is as normal as any of yours, even more normal because I don't have to hide in any closet when I get undressed. And who says I have ugly feet? Your feet are just as ugly. I wrote about your feet, Sandra said, because your big toes are funny looking. I think there's something wrong with them. How dare you say that about my feet, I yelled, you big fat crybaby. I'm going home, Sandra bawled. I don't have to stay here and listen to this. That's right, Jane told her. Go running home to Mama, just like always. She tossed a model boat at Sandra. I could tell plenty about you if I felt like it, Sandra said, throwing the model back at Jane. You just try it and I'll get you, Jane yelled as she flung another model. This time, Sandra picked it up and sent it flying across the room at Jane. And Mouse picked one up and did the same thing. I got so mad, I yelled, "You're ruining my party!" And I threw one of Bobby's models at Jane. Pretty soon, we were all throwing the models at each other, and we were all screaming and half crying, too, because of the terrible things we wrote about each other, even though some of them were true. That's when Libby opened the door and said, "What's going on in here?" I shouted, "Get out and mind your own business." Jane threw a model at Libby, and Libby had to duck so it wouldn't hit her head. Instead, it hit Mary Ann, who was standing right behind Libby. She hollered, "You little brats, you little baby brats, you're too young for a slumber party." I said, "Get out of my room, now!" "I'm going to tell Mother and Father about this, Sheila." "Blah, blah, blah," I said. "Yeah," Mouse told him, "blah, blah, blah." Then Mouse looked at me and we started to laugh. And when we did, Jane did too. After a minute, even Sandra joined us. We all laughed at Libby and Mary Ann as we shouted, "Blah, blah, 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 blah." Libby called us baby brats one more time before she slammed our door shut. Then I hopped down on my bed and looked around at my room. Bobby's models were all over the place. "He's going to get me." "Don't be silly," Mouse said. "He said he would, and he means it. I know he means it." "So what? Who cares about the old model maniac?" Mouse asked. "That's easy for you to say," I told her. "You're not the one he's going to get." "There's only one thing to do." "What's that?" Sandra asked. "We have to fix up every single model." "But how can we?" Sandra said. "One of them broke right in half." "Okay, that one we can throw in the garbage, but the rest of them we have to repair." I went to the desk and opened the drawer. I took out 2 tubes of tester's glue and a box of model paints. I divided the models into 3 piles. "It won't take long to fix them up," I said. An hour later, we were still sitting on the floor gluing and painting when my mother knocked on my door and called, "Snack time!" I whispered, "Quick, hide the stuff." As I ran across my room to open the door for Mom, she was carrying a big tray of pizza. That smells delicious," Sandra said. "It's nice and hot," Mom told us. She set it down on the desk. Then she wriggled her nose and looked around. "Something smells funny in here, girls." "It does?" I asked. "Yes, like glue or something." "Oh, that's just my toothpaste, Mrs. Tubman," Mouse said. "What kind of toothpaste smells like that?" Mom asked. "The new kind that prevents cavities," Mouse told her. "I hope it tastes better than it smells," Mom said. Mother, is that you?" Libby called. "Yes," Mom said. "We have plenty of pizza." Libby came rushing to my room with Mary Ann right behind her. "Mother, Sheila and her friends were just awful while you were gone. They were yelling and screaming and throwing around all the models from the top of the dresser." Mom stood in the doorway and said, "Sheila, what's this all about?" I told her she'd ruin my party. She just has to butt into everything. Mom looked over at the dresser. "Where are all of Bobby's models?" "Under the bed, Mrs. Tubman," Mouse said. "We wanted to make sure nothing would happen to them, so we put them away for the night." "They are impossible children, Mother," Libby said. Mom looked back at us. We all smiled at her. "This is Sheila's party, Libby. I think you and Mary Ann should go to your room and let these girls take care of themselves. I know they wouldn't do anything destructive to another person's property." "Oh, Mother," Libby said, "you don't understand at all." "Good night, Libby. Good night, Mary Ann," Mom told them. "Thanks, Mom," I said. "Have a good time, but don't stay up too late." When Mom went downstairs, we started on the pizza. Sandra ate 2 pieces and reached for a third, but we all shook our heads at her, and she took her hand away and said, "The truth really hurts." We all agreed. After our snack, we went back to work on Bobby's models. We fixed them up pretty good. From far away, you'd never know there was anything wrong with them. And besides, didn't he say he was bringing home a bunch of new ones? so he'll probably never notice that these had been in a battle. At least I hope he won't. We spread the models out to dry and put away the glue and paints. I'm getting tired, Sandra said. We can't go to bed yet, Mouse told her. We still have some unfinished business to take care of. What? Sandra said. I looked at Mouse because I knew what she was thinking. We have to get even with Libby and Marianne for telling on us. Goody, Jane said. They deserve the worst. But what's the worst? Sandra said. We should put frogs in their bed. Mouse said. Where are we supposed to get frogs? Jane asked. Behind my house, Mouse said. There's a brook full of them. Forget it, I said. My mother's not going to let us going around at night. Then we'll have to think of something else, Mouse said. But it's got to be really great. I know, I said. We'll decorate the toilet seat with toothpaste, and the first one that sits down will get full of it. You know where. Hey, that's a neat idea, Sheila, Mouse said. How'd you think that one up? When your brain knows it all, it's easy, I told her. I could tell from Mouse's expressions that she was the one who wrote that about me. But I didn't care, because she also wrote that I'm an interesting person and I like that idea a lot. Even Sandra and Jane wrote that in general, I'm okay. And that's what counts. So what if they think I'm bossy sometimes? It's only because I know way more than they do. And so what if I have weird eyebrows and funny toes? Not that I agree, because I don't see anything weird about my eyebrows and my toes are just like everybody else's toes. But to be an interesting person, well, not everyone can be that. That is something special. We all went into the hall bathroom and brushed our teeth and used the toilet. Then I personally covered the toilet seat with toothpaste. When I was finished, the others wanted to add a little to it. So by the time we were done, there wasn't a spot on it without toothpaste. We went back to my room and waited. When my bedroom door opened, you could hear the water running in the bathroom. Pretty soon we heard Libby and Marianne walking down the hall. They're going to the bathroom now, Jane said. Shh, I told her. I think they brushed their teeth first, and then it sounded like one of them was gargling. It was hard to keep from laughing because we knew in another minute Libby or Marianne would be sitting down on all that toothpaste. But then we heard the toilet flush without a sound from either one. I don't get it, Mouse whispered. They probably didn't go yet, I whispered back. Maybe they just flushed a tissue or something. We waited some more, and the toilet flushed again. But still, no sound from either one of them. Maybe they go standing up, Mouse said. Why should they, I asked. Our toilets are clean. Maybe they used your mother's bathroom instead, Sandra said. No, Libby never uses my mother's bathroom. Well, I don't know, Mouse said, peeking out from the hall. But they're on their way back to Libby's room. It doesn't make sense, I said. It doesn't make sense at all. Mouse, Sandra, and Jane agreed. I got into bed and the others snuggled into their sleeping bags. We'll get them tomorrow, I said. They'll be sorry they told on us. We giggled for a long time before we fell asleep. The next morning, I got up early and looked down at my friends. They were sound asleep. I had to go to the bathroom, so I got out of bed and tiptoed down the hall. I forgot about the toothpaste until I sat down on the toilet. It was all sticky. I got all over my backside. I couldn't even get it off with paper, and it itched too. So I decided to take a shower. But when I turned on the water, it came out icy cold, and I screamed so loud, I woke everyone up. Daddy and Mom, Libby and Marianne, Sandra, Jane, and Mouse all came running down the hall. I covered myself up with a big towel and told them the water was very cold. Mom said, Sheila, why on earth are you going to take a shower this early in the morning? To get the toothpaste off of me, I told her. As soon as I said that, Libby and Marianne started laughing. I stuck my tongue out at them. What toothpaste? Mom asked. Mouse said, you see, Mrs. Tubman, Sheila had a lot of mosquito bites. My mother always says toothpaste will stop them from itching. So I spread toothpaste all over me, I said. But now I want to wash it off. Is that your new toothpaste, Mouse? Mom asked. The one that smells like glue? It doesn't matter what kind of toothpaste you use, Mrs. Tubman, Mouse said. Any old kind will do. I never heard of putting toothpaste on mosquito bites, Mom said. Next time I'll get one. I'll have to try it. That night after my friends went home, Daddy asked, did you have a nice party, Sheila? Oh, yes, I told him. My slumber party was the best slumber party that ever was. Just like I knew it would be. That's good, Daddy said, slapping the back of his neck. Whew, I got some really bad mosquito bites. Sheila, would you run upstairs and get me the toothpaste? Don't bother, Daddy, I said, starting to laugh. It really doesn't help at all. All right, so I think what I'm going to do... All right, let's keep going. Chapter 14. Libby is in love for a change. This time, he is 14 and he shows the movies at camp. His name is Hank Crane. I wonder if he's related to Ichabod. I asked Libby about that, but all she said was, Sheila, you are very weird. On rainy days, we see old movies at camp. Last week it rained, and me and Mouse watched Libby instead of the movie. She sat right up close to Hank, and we're not sure, but we think they kissed a couple of times. I would love to tell my mother, but I'm afraid Libby would get me. She might let Jennifer loose or something. When it isn't raining, Hank is busy with his video camera. He is making an original film of us at our activities. One day, he spent a lot of time at pottery. He asked me to do some silly things, like putting clay on my head while I pretended to be the pottery wheel. Naturally, I refused. So he got Russ to do it. I can't imagine what Hank's film is going to be like. I have the feeling I will never find out because I don't think it'll ever be finished. Libby says that Hank is very talented, which is more important than being good looking. Even Marianne Markman likes him. I think he is really dumb to pick Libby instead of Marianne. Next week is our last week of day camp. When it is over, Marty says I'll have to take my swimming test. I know I will drown if he makes me swim across the pool. Then everyone will be sorry they forced me to learn to swim. Mouse and the twins don't bother swimming regular anymore. They are too busy doing handstands and somersaults under the water. I'll never be able to do tricks. I think I'd be better off just staying far, far away from oceans, lakes, and pools for the rest of my life. On Friday night, we are going on a hayride. Everyone from camp is invited. We are divided up into 2 groups, since we can't all fit into one wagon. Libby is very happy about this because she doesn't want to be in the same wagon as me. And I know why. She wants to be alone with Hank Crane. Well, I don't care. Who wants to waste a good hayride looking at Libby? I have never been on a hayride anyway. Mouse hasn't either, but she says we will have lots of fun. Libby spent all Friday afternoon getting beautiful. She even put on clean jeans and cut her toenails. Mr. Ellis called for us at 8:30 and dropped us off at camp. The wagons were already there and kids were piling in. We were supposed to divide up by age, so Libby didn't have to worry after all. Denise was in charge of our wagon. One thing that surprised me was the horses. I didn't know they were going to pull our wagon. I thought it would be attached to a car. I'm not too crazy about horses. Suppose they jump up in the air and we all fall off the wagon. Or worse yet, they go wild and pull us into the woods. As I was thinking about whether or not I should really go, Mouse said, "Come on, Sheila. Let's get a good place up front." Up front? Meant near the horses, I found out. I don't think this is the best place to sit, I said. Let's get more in the middle. No, Mouse said. You have the best fun up here. How do you know? You've never been on a hayride. You said so yourself. My mother told me, Mouse said. Oh. How many hayrides has she been on? In the olden days, when she was a girl, she went on them a lot. Oh. The first thing I found out was hay isn't soft like I thought it would be. It's kind of sharp and it makes some people sneeze. Sam Sweeney started sneezing as soon as he sat down. Our hayride began at 9, but then it was dark. Libby's wagon went first and ours followed. Denise brought along her guitar and we started singing right away. She played her Anne Boleyn song first to get us in the mood. After a while, she said she would tell us a ghost story. I don't like ghost stories, so I decided not to listen. I can do that if I really concentrate. But it isn't easy. I have to think of other things. The whole time the person is talking, I do it in school sometimes if the lesson gets boring. But it's harder to do on a hayride than in school. We turned off the main road onto an old bumpy one. There were no street lights and it was very dark. There wasn't any moon in the sky and I was glad, especially that there wasn't a full moon, because werewolves only come out when the moon is full. Not that there's really any such thing as a werewolf. I know there isn't, but it still was better that there was no moon. Mouse leaned close and whispered, "This is old Sleepy Hollow Road, the one where Ichabod Crane saw Headless Horseman." "It is?" I asked. Yes, and see up there? That's the little church with the graveyard behind it. That's where the horseman comes from. Denise finished her story. It was very quiet except for Sam's sneezes. There were a lot of giggles. I think everybody was a little bit scared. I pretended we weren't on Old Sleepy Hollow Road. I wished I was home in my bed with the covers over my ear. I don't know why I ever came on this hayride in the first place. As we got closer to the church, I heard the noise. It couldn't possibly be him, could it? There isn't such thing as a headless horseman. I know that. The next time I heard the noise, there was a flash in the sky. Oh no, it was thundering. We were going to have a storm. And here I am out in the open, I thought. Out in a dumb old hay wagon. The lightning would probably scare the horses and they'll run wild, right into the woods, where the headless horseman will be waiting. My heart started beating like mad and I was full of sweat. I couldn't stand it anymore. The only thing to do was bury myself under the hay. Then I'd be safe. Safe from the lightning and the horses running wild in terrible dark woods and the horsemen. Sheila, what are you doing? Mouse asked. Sheila, come out of there. Are you crazy or something? She tried to dig me out of the hay, but I wouldn't let her. Why should I come out? Let Mouse and the others get struck by lightning. Let them fall out of the wagon when the horses run wild. Let them get lost in the woods with the headless horseman. Denise, I heard Mouse call. Denise, help me. Sheila's under the hay and won't come out. I kicked my legs at her. They weren't going to get me out. Oh no, I was staying buried until I was home where it was safe. But Denise is much bigger than me and stronger too. Sheila Tubman, she said, pulling me out. What do you think you're doing? It's going to rain, I told her. I'm just getting ready for it. I don't want to get wet like the rest of you, so just leave me alone. I like it under the hay. You're really funny, Mouse said. No, I'm not, I told her. I'm interesting, that's all. You can say that again, Mouse laughed. Anyway, Denise said, I don't think it's going to rain. The storm seems to have passed. She pointed to the sky. You see? The moon's out over there. I looked up and saw that she was right. There was a big full moon. I kept my eyes shut for the rest of the ride. I wasn't taking any chances. If a werewolf ran out of the woods, I wasn't going to be the one to see him. Finally, we made it back to camp. I was never so happy to see Daddy in my life. How was it? He asked. Did you have lots of fun? Mouse answered. She said, It was great fun, Mr. Tubman. Just great. Wasn't it, Sheila? I tried to smile. Yeah, sure. I said, great. Now that I've been on one hayride, I don't think I'll be in a hurry to be on another one. Okay. Chapter 15. This afternoon, I am going to take my swimming test. I hope it rains. I hope it rains and pours until we leave here. But when I checked the sky, the sun was shining. And when I turned on the radio and listened to the weather report, there was no rain in the forecast. So I hope I get sick and the doctor says I can't go in the water for 10 days. But I feel fine. Except for my stomach, which keeps jumping all around. So I hope that when I get to the pool this afternoon, Marty won't be there, and no one will be able to find him. Then I'll never have to take my swimming test. But when we got to the pool, Marty was there, waiting for me. That's when I knew there was no getting out of it. I would have to take my beginner's test, and if I drowned, I drowned. It was better not to think about it. Besides, chances were I wouldn't drown. Marty would probably save me. But if he had to jump in and save me in front of everyone, that would be as bad as drowning. Maybe even worse. When I was in my suit, Mom said, Good luck, Sheila, and please don't be nervous. Me? Nervous? I said, Ha ha, that's really funny. When Marty saw me, he called, Hi, Sheila, all set? I didn't answer him. Okay, now here's all you have to do, Marty said. First, you'll jump in and swim across the deep end of the pool. Then you'll tread water for 2 minutes. I don't know who Marty thought he was fooling. If he expected me to jump in and swim across the deep end of the pool, he was even nuttier than I thought. He was more than nutty. He was even more than crazy. He was also stupid, dumb, and an idiot. Are you listening to me? Marty asked. Oh, sure, I told him. I'm listening. But you know I can't swim across the whole pool. Yes, you can, Marty said. I folded my arms and gave him one of my best stares. You've got to try, Sheila. That's all I ask. You just can't give up without trying. Who's giving up, I asked. I can swim. You know that. You've seen me. Okay, Marty said. So I know it. So now I want you to prove it to everyone by swimming across the pool. Maybe I just don't feel like it. Look, Sheila, there's absolutely nothing to be afraid of. If you can't make it, I'll be right there to help you. I am not afraid. Then prove that you're not. Jump in right now and start swimming. I know you can make it. I have a lot of confidence in you. I didn't answer him. Please, Sheila, please try. For me? I liked the way Marty said that, but when I looked across the pool, the other side seemed 10 miles away. You promise nothing bad will happen, I asked. I promise, Marty said. Word of honor. I'll even clear this section of the pool while you take your test. Do I have to keep my face in the water the whole time? No, you can swim any way you want. How far is it across? About a mile? Marty laughed. It's only 40 feet. It looks like 10 miles to me, I said. It's not. Tell you what, I'll count to 3. Then you jump in and start swimming. I'll walk along the side of the pool. If you have any trouble, I'll pull you out. You'll really be near me? Yes, I told you that. Now get ready. I stood at the edge of the pool. Marty counted. 1 and 2 and 3. Jump! I didn't move. What are you waiting for? Marty asked. I wasn't quite ready, I told him. Let's try it again. Okay, here we go. And 1 and 2 and 3. Jump! I held my nose and I jumped in. When I came up, I looked for Marty. He was right where he said he'd be. Swim, swim, he called. I started. First, I tried blowing bubbles, but I felt like I wasn't getting anywhere. So I kept my head out and swam like a dog. That way I could see what was going on. And I could keep an eye on Marty to make sure he followed me all the way across. Every time I looked up at him, he yelled, Go, Sheila, go! I swam past the low diving board, then past the high one, and then I started to get tired. I couldn't get my arms all the way out of the water, and my legs didn't want to kick anymore. I looked up at Marty. Go, Sheila, go! Don't stop now! Marty was wrong. The pool wasn't 40 feet across. It was really 40 miles. I never should have tried it. Go, go! Why didn't he just shut up? When I raised my head and looked straight across the pool, who did I see waiting for me but Mouse and the twins? They were yelling, Go, go! Just like Marty. I wanted to yell them to stop. Then I would never get to their side. This was very stupid. Soon I would be dead. Why didn't Marty pull me out? What was he waiting for? Couldn't he see I wasn't going to make it? I tried to say, I can't make it, but it came out so soft he didn't hear me. He said, That's it, keep on going. I can't, I thought. Then my hand touched the ladder. Mouse and the twins were cheering and jumping up and down. Marty was yelling, You made it, I knew you would. It was true. I swam across the deep end of the pool and I was still alive. I really and truly did it. I tried to climb up the ladder, but Marty bent down and said, Now all you have to do is tread water for 2 minutes. No, let me up. Relax, Sheila. You can do it. Just tread for 2 minutes. Treading water is pretty easy. It's just like riding a bicycle, except you aren't on one. But I was so tired, I wanted to go to sleep. Marty was holding a watch. He talked to me the whole time I was treading. He said, That's it, Sheila. Only 1 more minute to go. And what's 1 little minute? When we got down to the last couple of seconds, Marty counted out loud. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hooray, you did it! I climbed up the ladder and Marty put his arms around me. Then he gave me a big kiss right in front of everybody, but I didn't mind. My mother ran over and wrapped me up in a towel, and Mouse and the twins dragged a lounge chair to me. I really did it? I asked over and over. You sure did, Marty said. How about that? Never mind that Mouse and the twins are already working on their advanced cards. Never mind that Libby is practically a junior lifesaver. Never mind that I will never dive like Betsy Ellis or stand on my hands in the water. I can swim. I proved it to everyone, including myself. I am Sunny Tubman, girl swimmer. I am Super Sheila, the swimming wonder. I am. Sheila, I heard my mother say, are you all right? I think I nodded. Then another voice laughed and said, She's asleep, that's all. I think it was Marty, but I couldn't even open my eyes to thank him. Next week we are going home. Our summer in Tarrytown is practically over. In some ways I am glad, such as I won't have to listen for the Headless Horseman anymore. But other ways I'm sorry. I will really miss Mouse. She promised to tell Bobby Ingrid that I never touched any of his models. But just in case he didn't believe her and decides to get me, Mouse will say I've gone to Australia and won't be back. I'll visit you in the city, Mouse said, and next summer maybe you'll come back to Terrytown. But next summer we're going to Disneyland, I told her. You're really going? She asked. Well, we're thinking about it. At least I am. Then I'll think about it too, Mouse said, and maybe we can all go together. Now that's a really good idea, I said. Me and Mouse would love to be around when Libby said goodbye to Hank Crane. She is the star of his new movie. It's all about a girl who sees everything upside down. Libby had to learn to stand on her head to get the feel of the part. She says someday Hank will be very famous and we will all be able to say we knew him when. Mouse and I didn't believe her. Mom got the idea of having a farewell to Terrytown party. She told us about it after supper tonight. Daddy said, that sounds like fun. Can I invite Mouse? I asked. Of course, Mom said. We'll have the whole Ellis family. Then Libby asked, can I invite Hank and Marianne Markman? Mom said, sure, let's have Marty too. And the Van Arden twins, I said. And maybe Hank could bring a friend for Marianne, Libby said. By that time, Daddy and Mom were laughing and making up a party list. The next few days, we were all busy planning our farewell to Terrytown party. Daddy said he would do the cooking on the outside grill, and Mom said we'd set up tables and chairs in the backyard. At the last minute, I remembered about Betsy Ellis and how she gets hives from dogs, but Daddy said she'd be all right as long as she didn't get near Jennifer. The day of our party started out cloudy, and Mom was very disappointed. I thought if it rained, we could get a good game of indoor hide-and-seek, but by noon the sun came out and Mom cheered up. At 2 o'clock, our first guest came, Mouse and her family. Betsy was dragging Ooch, but she had a new ribbon tied around him instead of the dirty old string. Right after that, everyone started to arrive at once. The Van Arden twins, Marianne Markman, Hank and his friend Bucky Parker, who brought a bat, a ball, and a fielder's mitt with him. Marty came last, and for a minute I didn't recognize him. It was the first time I saw him in clothes instead of a bathing suit. We spent the afternoon eating. Hamburgers, hot dogs, barbecue chicken, and a bunch of stuff to go with it. Everyone took turns on the grill, so Daddy didn't have to cook the whole time. We all agreed that Hank Crane and Bucky Parker were the best cooks. They were the only ones who didn't drop anything into the fire or burn up the rolls. Even Jennifer had fun. All of our guests stopped to say hello and tell her congratulations on her condition. Toward the middle of the afternoon, she curled up in the shade and went to sleep. At 6 o'clock, Mom brought out the watermelons. Me, Mouse, and the twins took our plates and went off by ourselves. When we finished eating, Mouse said, now take 3 pits and stick them to your forehead. Then give each pit a boy's name, and the one that stays on longest is the boy you'll marry. I couldn't think of one boy I might want to marry, so I named my pits Russ Bindle, Sam Sweeney, and Bobby Egrin. After Mouse, Sandra, and Jane named their pits, we all stood up and walked around with them stuck to our foreheads. As they dried, they fell off. Sam Sweeney fell off first, then Russ Bindle, which left me with Bobby Egrin as the boy I would marry. And that was pretty funny because I don't even want to meet him, let alone marry him. Then Bucky Parker started throwing his baseball around, and pretty soon we divided into teams and started a game. Me, Mouse, Bucky, Marty against Sandra, Jane, Libby, Marianne, and Hank. As soon as we got started, Betsy burst into tears. I want to play too, she cried. Since our team only had 4 and the other team had 5, we got Betsy. When it was her turn to bat, all she did was stand there and laugh. Finally, Marty called her out on strikes. I struck out swinging my first 2 times, but the third time around I hit a fly ball toward first base, which Libby dropped. Before she could pick it up, I was safe at first. And that's when I noticed Jennifer's friend. He was running around in the bushes. He was practically next to me. I remembered the last time he saw me and what happened, so I stood very still and prayed that he would go away. Why are you staring like that? Libby asked me. Jennifer's friend is back, I said. Look. Libby turned around and saw him. She called, time out, and dove into the bushes after the dog. Then a man came into our yard calling, Mumford, Mumford, here boy. When Jennifer's friend heard that, he ran out of the bushes and barked like crazy. Jennifer must have recognized his bark because she woke up and got so excited she wrapped herself around the tree. So Daddy had to unchain her, and when he did, she took off and ran for her friend. Mrs. Ellis hollered, Betsy, get into the house, hurry or you'll get your hives. The man kept saying, I'm terribly sorry, really I am. I had no idea you were having a party, and I don't know why he ran off like that. My father introduced himself to the man and said it was all right about the dog. Then the man told Daddy his name was Cyrus Beldridge, and his dog was Mumford. Mom gave Mr. Beldridge a piece of watermelon and told him about Jennifer is going to be a mother and that Mumford is the father. Mr. Beldridge sat down saying, "Imagine that!" While he ate his watermelon, Jennifer and Mumford smiled at each other, or sniffed at each other. Mouse said, "Well, now the Eagerns won't have any trouble naming the puppies. They can make up combinations of Jennifer and Mumford, like Jenimum," Jane said. "Or Mummifer," Sandra said. "How about Mumphy?" Mouse asked. "Or Jake," Sandra laughed. "That's not a combination of Jennifer and Mumford," Mouse said. "But it sounds nice," Sandra told her. "Which one do you like best, Sheila?" Mouse asked. "Oh, I think I'll take Jake," I said. Then we all laughed some more until I remembered that I was in the backyard with 2 dogs loose. So I ran for the house calling, "I'll get hives! I'll get awful huge giant hives!" When I got inside, I thought about having a puppy named Jake, who would be much better, nicer dog than Peter Hatcher's. Except, of course, that dogs don't like me. So how could we possibly have one? Even if he's small and soft and his name is Jake. Is it out of the question? But suppose Libby gets her own way. Oh well, I will worry about that when the time comes. And that was otherwise known as Sheila the Great by Judy Blume. Look for the next videos for where I'll be reading the book Super Fudge. Have a great day.